Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Talks on Tuesday. And I'm hosting today. I'm Chelsea, here with Barbara and Julie and Mary and all the friends that have joined us. If you're listening to us, this recording, and you would like to get an email with our link each week, what's our email, Barbara?
It's Talks on Tuesdays 333 at gmail.com.
No. So I went up to my library and stared at my books this morning and tried to get some inspiration of what to talk about today. And I grabbed a few books, and one of them was this The Heart of Prayer by Rupert Spira. And I kind of just opened it up, and there was towards the back, I'll just mention the page if anybody's watching this in recording. I opened it up to page like 102, 103. It was kind of talking about non-duality, um, which is the knowingness that essentially we are. Oh, let me get a little drink. Non-duality, the knowingness that we essentially are one. For me, it's a little bit of something, a kind of observation I've kind of come onto later in life, that of the connection we have with everyone and everything. And essentially, it just dissolves down. The appearances dissolve down, and we are one. We seem to be waves. We seem to be actions like a wave, but we are of the ocean. And um, this paragraph I was reading starts off with the question: if reality is one, why does it appear to be many? Why does it appear that we are separate selves? So I'll just read this paragraph really quick. If reality is one, why does it appear to be many? Because we perceive it through our sense perceptions: seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. These faculties refract and fragment the one reality, making it appear as a multiplicity and diversity of objects and selves. Through the act of perceiving, the one appears as the many, but at no point does a separate perceiver or a perceived world come into existence. No separate no separate object or subject of experience ever stands out from the one with its own independent existence. These are just temporary and apparent modulations of the one. And I thought we could talk about this today. It's just it's just interesting. It's as if we're kaleidoscopes. We're born, we're children, we're babies. Everything we see outside of us is through our perception. And that perception is is what alters or gives us the feeling, at least early on, through our childhood, that is that is separate from me. I mean, that's an apple, that's a chair, that's my mom, that's my dad. And uh, what was it, Mary, that we were talking about earlier? Like even like Sesame Street, you're
Yeah.
taught. Yeah, what was the song?
One of these things is not like the other. Yeah. And what I was saying earlier before we came on is, so many of our challenges come from being in a human body. Rupert Spears talking about the senses that make us see in a fragmented way. I guess I disagree with him a little bit. I think our senses synthesize things maybe, but it's our brain that is uniquely set up to see similarities and differences. And that's one of the first things we do in learning is one of these things is not like the other. Let's sort these things. Which ones are red? Which ones are green? Which ones are square and triangle? And we do that throughout our schooling. Which doesn't belong? All of these kinds of things. And when babies, even little tiny babies, one of the first things they learn is what faces look like. And even by the time they're 3 months, if you show them a picture of a face with an eye here and a nose up here, they'll start crying because they know that's not right. And it helps us learn the physical world, but it also it forces us to see things as separate. And that's the challenge. And if it were easy, we wouldn't need to be here.
Yeah. And the perceptions, everything that comes through our senses, like you were saying, Mary, all the data is collected in the brain, but it's the tool that is the perception in the brain. It was designed like it's designed, and it must have been for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I know we're all one, but it's something that is in the background, and we just get so caught up in the perception of differences and um, likes and dislikes and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But go ahead, Doreen.
As you were talking, and I was just sort of taking that in, and I was thinking, this is a great way to reflect on that concept where we all go around saying, well, that's not in alignment with me. Well, that's just not in alignment with me, so I'm going to say no. Oh, that's definitely not in alignment with me, so I hate that. Or what, how we do. I do the same thing, and it's very egotistical. And I think, Chelsea, what you're speaking about it regarding the design and wondering, like, what is up with that design? I got the word benefit, and I think maybe it's up to us to figure out to be more gentle with things that aren't in alignment with us, because you just benefited from that thing that's not in alignment with you. I should say it first person. I just benefited from that thing that I decided wasn't in alignment with me and that I totally judged. And I need to quickly go to that place where, yeah, but there's so many benefits, and I just have to, I don't have to, but I could just at least accept that. And if I could move beyond that and really see the benefits, then maybe I could be a little bit less snooty about things that aren't in alignment, and just be more gentle, very, very gentle about things that are so-called not, in alignment.
Yeah. First Gino, and then Julie.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to say because my brain keeps jumping around with all the different things people are saying, and I get into what they're saying, and I'm saying, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, and I forgot what I was thinking before, and I'm going around like that today. I think the bottom line I'm trying to make clear to myself so I can say it is that, yes, we are all one. 100% I agree with that. I have felt it, I've experienced it in such a way that is so deep that I just don't think it can be denied. Yet I think that because we have different perceptions, we see things differently, we do things differently. One songwriter sounds like this and they have their own brand, and another one sounds like this. The arts, sports, whatever, everyone is doing something different, some activity, some brainwave difference. And those things can serve us as well. It's not all, oh, you know, somebody here alluded to, oh yeah, it was Durin. Try to be gentle with our differences. Don't think that our thing is it. And it isn't. It isn't it. It seems like it is because it's in our mind and it came from our body and everything. So how could it be wrong? Oh, wait a minute. Let me be open and I will start learning. I'm going to learn. We might do that for a while and then we'll fall back into that again. Oh, yeah, I'm doing it again. Let me change. So everyone has value with their perceptions and beliefs and everything. There are some that are extremely harmful. And I won't name names here, but there are politicians we can predict pretty much how they're going to act and what point of view they're going to come from and what they're going to say. And sometimes we just turn it off. We can't take it anymore. How is that serving me or anyone for me to keep listening to this stuff? Um, there's just so it's a thing about, we are all one. That's great. At the same time, we have our perceptions and our little beliefs and all of this stuff that can serve us or not. So it's a matter of, can we look at that and live with it in a balanced way that helps the world rather than divides it. And then it takes away from the we are all one aspect of things. That's what I have to say after all the things that you guys said.
Uh, Julie, go ahead and unmute and
Hi. What came to me when Doreen was talking and what she said was, as we're on our journey, as a finite person, we don't think, I don't think that people think about that we're all one. That's something you sort of come to through awareness. And I find that what she was saying, what Doreen was saying, was sort of having an introspection, going inside within to bring our perceptions to light and awareness. I mean, that we become aware of those things. And even so, for myself, I have to say, it's hard a lot of times for me to see that, or to believe that that's what we are, that we are one, even though I think in certain ways, we do feel that if we know that that's what it is. I don't know if that makes sense. That we are getting those feelings of oneness, and we're touching it, but we don't sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself, that I sometimes don't know that that's what it is I'm feeling, and putting a name on it, that oneness that you feel with everything. So yeah. So
go ahead, Barbara.
Thanks. I really enjoy what everybody's contributed so far. When I heard you talking earlier, Chelsea, about when you were introducing the topic, I got a flash of a prism and how it takes the light and then kind of separates it out to different colors. And that's almost, you talked, I think you talked about like reflective and refractive, and that's kind of what it meant to me. And I also have actually thought about this off and on quite a bit, and I I don't totally understand. I hear speakers say things like, well, we're here to advance consciousness, we're here to spread and take consciousness further. And I think that sounds good. And like Gino, I understand and I can feel the oneness of all of us. But I think he mentioned, and that I fall back to that, a balance of that glimpsing or toggling, that we've talked about, that knowing and experiencing the oneness, and then feeling very much in this body and kind of, I'll say alone, just because, physical. And I've wondered, what is the point? If we're supposed to, if infinity is infinite, how can we continue to expand that? And how can our consciousness, where's it going when we're doing all these um peaceful, helpful, loving things? And so anyway, I don't know. I mean, I know it makes me feel good, and maybe that's the whole key. I mean, I think Solomon and Abraham Hicks both are like, you're here to feel joy or experience joy. So maybe that's just enough. I don't know, but it's a good topic, and lots to think about.
Yeah, let me just say one thing quickly, and then we'll go to Mary. We may have the same thing on our mind, but yeah, like when you said, Barbara, you're listening to somebody and they're like, we're here, our job, what we must do, we have to increase the consciousness, we have to increase the enlightenment of those around us, we have to raise the vibration of the reality, and those just don't exactly align with that we are already one, and we are of the highest vibration, or however you want to quantify it. and and then you alluded to those that speak of, we're here to follow joy or investigate joy, or I think that's more in tune with what we already are, and having fun with it, and what do we do with it all. And yeah, I think once we can get that needing to expand others' consciousness, we can let that go, the better. What do you say, Mary?
Well, I think sometimes when we think we've got a job, we've got to do this, we've got to raise consciousness, this task list disappears when we look at it from the perspective that I don't raise your consciousness, I raise my own. And because we're one, it raises everyone else's. And that's Hawkins talks about that a lot. Every time our consciousness raises, it raises the rest incrementally. And I just want to follow up on something Gino said about this politician and, the earth's the schoolroom. We're all here to learn, but we're also here to teach. We've all had really awful teachers throughout our schooling. And we learned things by dealing with that. We learned different behavioral patterns, etc. This big teacher we've got in Washington, D.C. right now is a teacher. He's teaching us to recognize what's important, things that we just took for granted in the past, and various freedoms and rights and responsibilities. We're learning again what's important. Anyway, off to Cecilia.
I think that's very important. All of it, everything everybody has said. And yes, I agree that it's up to us to raise our consciousness and lighten up ourselves. And that will illuminate those around us if they are meant to be illuminated, if they want that. I know that each encounter is a gift. And I'm saying this specifically because I have been communicating with somebody who's been calling in the office wanting to go to a training program, but he is I've had this, how can you charge all this money and not guarantee, and I want to know guarantees and guarantees. And he's a doctor. And I said, well, it's I've talked to him twice and his conversations go on for hours. And I said, well, doctor, have you ever in your practice, ever in the years that you've been working, have you ever guaranteed or promised one of your patients a certain outcome? And he was quiet. I was like, exactly. You don't guarantee, and we cannot guarantee either. And he kept insisting. He was going, well, this is going on, and this person I've seen, this person, and they've nothing's been able to, haven't been able to get relief. Nobody can heal me. I said, if you continue to say nobody can heal me, then the universe says yes, nobody can heal you. So, and he stopped and he said, that was hard. I said, well, open a window, leave a crack open, allow for something, allow for a possibility. And it was interesting, this conversation that we were having, and it was he agreed to open and allow and stuff, and then we ended, and it was interesting. And then I was feeling really good about it, and then I realized, but he came into my awareness for some reason. So what is it that I'm stubborn about? What is it I'm hanging on to? Why did this come up for me? Because he's a reflection of me in some degree. So it made me introspect. It made me look into what is it that he gifted me in that. I got to share with him my heart and the possibilities. And at the same time, I have to look at me. Where am I stubborn? So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, Gino. And
Unmute.
while you're unmuting,
There you
Gino,
are.
I'll just referencing back to what you were talking about earlier, just and even ties in with Cecilia, is just, it made me think of the word compassion, just the gift of the compassion that we encounter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, I loved what you just said, Cecilia, and I was particularly taken that a doctor asked you that question, and your response was perfect. A doctor needed to hear that. I just love that response. And then just harkening a little bit back in the conversation, where, you know, uh, I come from the space of, try to as work on myself first. Be in charge of all of these habits that make me foul when I'm alone or looking foul when I'm around a crowd. Try to feel all that beauty within yourself and be that self. Be out there that way. To as you go one-on-one with people, even if you're at a bakery asking what kind of cookie that is, that can lead to a conversation that makes some kind of a change with that person that has to do that 40 hours a week behind the counter, you know. So I think that's how we make change in the world. But you have to start with yourself, which we've all heard many times.
Yes. We have a couple. Go ahead, Durin.
Yeah, if you have a couple minutes, I'll make it quick. It's so funny that everything everyone just said is totally leading up to what I was going to share. So it's so perfect. Kind of starting with the prism imagery that Barbara brought up, and then circling back to what everyone said after that. I think I've said before, we were that white is all the colors, and I was looking forward to winter because everything was going to be white all the time, and I was going to see it as all the colors. And I was walking along yesterday. It was about 10 degrees outside, which felt quite adversarial. And the sun was shining on the snow just right. I looked down, and for the rest of my walk, looking at the snow, I saw all the colors literally with my eyes. And every little snowflake was a prism, and it was every color you can think of. And I love that imagery. If we could sort of just hold a place for, no matter how adversarial maybe a person may seem or feel, maybe that prism is there. it's just there, and just let that be.
Yeah.
For me.
Oh, we have a couple comments in the chat. Julie says, I think it's revealing of who we are, infinite and perfect and connected to all things. And Gordy says, open the door, it's up to others to step through. Thank you for those comments. Yeah. My mind is kind of going with what you were saying, Durin. I'm thinking of the color white and all the colors, but one thing that kind of came to my mind today was how, there's Chelsea, she's walking, it's the sun is shining, and you see the shadow of Chelsea. And I just have this weird idea in my head that I'm in a way more the shadow than I am even myself. I can't really wrap around what that means, but I was kind of playing with it with the colors and with what you were saying. But I think we think we're so hard and concrete and solid, but I think we just really are shadows. I don't know. I just have this weird idea about that on my mind recently. But anybody else have one last thing they'd like to contribute?
Well, I'm thinking about what you're saying about shadows, and of course, people talk about like their shadow side and the shadow self. But what I was thinking of is really more, it's almost like just an energetic reflection or something of this physicality and an extension, really, an extension of the physicality. So that's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
to
Go ahead, Gino.
And Mary, what you said about that person in Washington, yeah, we are absolutely learning lessons from that person. And I think we learn lessons from everyone to one degree or another. But when somebody is really overtly way out there, we're learning something and something of value.
But I was going to say one more thing about opening that door. Sometimes we can get a little judgy if we say, I opened the door and they can choose to walk through or not. There may be all kinds of doors opening around them, and they choose. May not be the door we've opened, but there are doors opening around us all the time.
One last comment on that, Mary. When I used to be in the dating game and I would open the door and they didn't accept it, that really used to make me mad. Just
I
saying.
know. I'm perfect. I'm a divine child of the universe. How can
Come on.
well, it's nice to get different perspectives on that. So, and I think it makes us feel better too, getting back to feeling good and finding joy.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and see you next Tuesday. Love you all.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.